Hello, welcome back. I know it's been a very long time since I've done a video and live stream. It's just, I'm doing an update for you guys. I have been away from YouTube for quite a long time. I guess I'll explain. Last year, I lost my studio that I had in downtown, and I had to move my entire um, everything that I had into storage for a little while, for a couple months, while I figured out where I was going to set up my next studio. And well, that took forever. So that slowed down shoots for my pet monster girl, and I kind of slowed down on shooting content for OnlyFans and Fansly last year. On top of that, I decided that it was time that I moved uh, into a house so that way I could have my studio, my workshop, and my office all in one place, as opposed to, travel around all over the place, booking locations, things like that. And I could have my businesses all under one roof, and that would make things much easier for me. And you know what? That has taken forever. I still haven't found a place. House hunting takes forever, especially when you're looking for the right place that's going to be both your studio and your workshop. So, the one thing that has slowed me down is I want to make sure that I'm in a safe part of town since I have a lot of equipment. And you know what? Let me try to see if this is close enough so you guys can see what I'm doing while I'm doing it. Let me move this. Sorry for that. There we go. Okay. Perfect. So, like I was saying, was one of the hardest things is finding, that perfect house so that way, you feel safe. It's central enough that people will come out to you that want to have meetings with you or do photo shoots and things like that. So that's just kind of slowed me down for the last, since probably May of last year. It's since then what I've been doing is I've just been booking locations, and after doing that for months, I slowed down. That slowed down photo shoots as well because at the end of the day, the overhead of supplies and wardrobe, wigs, everything that goes into shoots, equipment. On top of that, prosthetics and contact lenses and teeth and horns and the time that it takes to make things. Adding the rental of a location was, that was eating away through any sort of income that was coming in from OnlyFans or Fansly. So I just had to kind of slow down even more, because if each photo shoot was costing more than it was making immediately, then I had to figure out what I needed to do. Do I need to post less? Do I need to shoot less? Um, and on top of that, I also started focusing on my other business, which was making silicone toys, which came out of, if you've watched previous videos, um, came out of the necessity of needing fantasy toys for content. Um, and that started its own business when people started asking if I was selling some of my designs. And at first I was not, because it wasn't really, with everything else that I was doing, I didn't think that I would have time for it, nor, my background is in special effects and mold making. But as an artist, you don't think that you're going to be able to do probably what other companies do. And I started finding out that mom and pop's companies, smaller companies that do fantasy toys, usually start off as an at-home business. And I was already a little bit ahead of the game by the fact that I have 10 years, 15 years, a long time of mold making experience for prosthetics and masks. So I already knew that angle. I guess in my head, I always assumed that small toy companies that are making fantasy dildos were these like laboratories where everyone's in like those like lab suits and you have to press that button to go into a clean room. And that is not how it is. Excuse me. So I've learned since starting this toy business in 2020, I've learned a lot and I'm continuing learning stuff. And it's really cool because it's also helping me out with makeup effects. You never stop learning as an artist. You want to keep uh, learning new tricks to add to your resume. And in dealing with silicone, I started learning a lot more about silicone than I had previously learned doing special effects and masks. You know, you learn different things doing different types of products, whether it be prosthetics or it be dildos. So that was really cool. Okay, right now what I'm doing is I'm just trimming them up. When you cast them, sometimes there's a little bit of overflow, um, and one or two of the molds has a little piece, little excess piece because of the sculpt, and I usually trim that away. This one's uber detailed, so this one's actually going to get um, molded back up, and then it's going to be resculpted. When you make a design, you realize that sometimes the design may not be as popular as what you thought. People might like it, other people might not. But then you realize that you can improve on the sculpture. Give me 1 second, guys. There we go. Okay. So that's it. I've trimmed these cool fantasy toys. This one's one of the more popular ones. It's a skull on top of a skull. I've also learned that people love glow in the dark. People love super bright colors, pastels. This one's filled with confetti. People love super bright UV confetti. So yeah. So now we've got those. Clean this up real quick. Okay. Grab my paper towel. But anyway, back to the update. For my pet monster girl, I've slowed down shooting, which also slowed down me doing YouTube videos. I was spreading myself too thin. On top of my pet monster, along with my pet monster girl, I had this new toy business that I want to keep growing, and then I also had my other businesses like RCC Creations, which also slowed down. My regular Safe for Work body paint slowed down because during 2020 the entertainment business went away. So there weren't as many corporate events that I was getting booked out for. And that's why I started focusing more on my adult content. Let me get these guys out of the way here. Okay. So I had a lot of irons in the fire, and I had to reprioritize what was bringing in an income to help me, save up for a new home and to pay my bills, and to also, as an artist, and I'm sure many other artists can say the same, pay off a little bit of debt that may have occurred during 2020. All right, so sorry, I like to make sure that everything is sprayed down here with alcohol. Let me get my little mold out of the way here. Let me just check to make sure the angle's right. All right. But that's it, guys. There's the update for my pet monster girl. What I'm going to do is I'm close to finding a home. I'm getting to a point where I need to find a house because I need to have my studio and my workshop all in one place. And it's getting to a point where I'm just going to have to If I don't find the perfect place, I'm just gonna have to pull the trigger and get something, even if it's for a year, just because I need to have my businesses all in one place. Um, so my workshop's like about 20 minutes away. My office is here. And then when I have to book out photo shoots, I have to pack everything completely and travel. And it just gets to a point where it's a lot to do. And it takes time away during the day if you have everything in separate places. As an artist, this is just me speaking for myself. I need to have everything all in one place so that way I'm able to be more productive. Not only that, but I have ADHD since I was a kid, and um, that also affects how productive I am if I have to stop what I'm doing and travel to another location to do more stuff. All right, so what I'm doing right now is I'm prepping these molds for casting. I've got orders from Etsy that I've got to get done. Um, but I also have new colors that I want to test out. I've gotten more and more into the mica powders, and the mica powders really do some really awesome. Let me get this one out. So this one doesn't have mica powders in it, but it's the xenomorph design that I sculpted. But the marbling on it looks, oh man, it is phenomenal. So for the longest time, I was trying to figure out how other companies were doing their marbling, and I mean, I'm new to the community, so I can understand me reaching out and trying to ask questions. People um, can be a little bit like, "Who are you? Are you trying to steal my secrets?" And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa! I just have a question." And it's going to take me time to, I guess, make friends in this community to be able to, you know, have other people that I can bounce ideas off of. Um, there we go. There's some smut. Okay. So what I try to do is once these guys are cast, if it's something that's going to sit on the shelf uh, for my store until someone orders it, they get alcoholed, dried, and then trimmed, and then they also get bagged up. Okay. So what we are doing here is I'm cleaning my molds. Um, every time I cast something, I clean it with alcohol. I'm just really paranoid when it comes to mold release, getting gunky in there, and then all of a sudden your silicone mold may bond with the casting, which has happened in the past, and when which you would think, after doing silicone prosthetics and whatnot, that would not happen, but it has, and it has been a learning curve. Okay, get this excess silicone that's kind of collected on the sides here. It's been pretty cool. I really do like making and designing toys. When I was younger, what I wanted to do wasn't makeup or special effects or anything like that. What I wanted to do was be in the toy industry designing action figures and, dolls and stuff like that. That is not how life turned out, but I think that this is one step closer to what I really want to do, and that's design toys. These are just a different type of toy. Okay. So when I first started out, I did these block molds for my first um, few designs, and I wasn't really digging the block molds because, well, when you're doing block molds like box molds like that, or block molds, you're using more silicone, and also it's pretty thick when it comes to the walls of the mold. So like this one has a cut down the middle of it. I don't really like doing cuts like that for dildos because no matter how well it's placed, sometimes if it shifts, that line is then visible in the casting, and that's just I don't like the way it looks. It should be all one piece. So I started switching over to glove molds like this. And what's great about glove molds, it's a little long. It takes a little longer to make them just because you're doing it in layers instead of just pouring it all in one go. But what's great is the thinner walls allow me to kind of massage the casting as it's coming out, so that way I'm not just ripping it right out of the mold. That has happened in the past when I was learning about some of these newer silicones that I'm using. Um, just like when you're burning through a silicone mold for resin, that can also happen with silicone. And also, if you're impatient and you just, that was one of the things that I learned. Being patient when it comes to getting a casting out of the mold. What's happened in the past, or what did happen in the past, is I might leave something in there past the amount of time it's supposed to cure. And then what happens is, so let's say if this thing cures in 3 hours and I take it out in like 5, even 8 hours, it's still good, but the longer it's in there, the harder it is to get out safely. And what happens is it starts to adhere a little bit more to the walls of the mold. And if you pull it out a little bit too rough, it can tear a chunk out of the inside of the mold because it might have adhered or bonded a little bit too much. So usually, as soon as the molds are cured, maybe an hour or two is the max that I wait to get them out, and then I get them out. Any longer than that, like I had one mold, I completely forgot because I put it on higher on the shelf, and the mold was in there for 2 days. And when I tried to get it out, I did it slowly. A tiny little chunk from the shaft tore out, and that always sucks because once that happens, the mold it's scrapped, and you have to build a brand new one. So what I do is I do have multiples of my molds, so that way, and if anything ever happens, they're ready to go. This mold's not the prettiest one right here. This one was one of my first. It's still good on the inside, but the outside just looks really ugly. So what I've been doing is I've been trimming them down a little bit better, cleaning them up. So they look as pretty on the outside as they do on the inside. Um, so yeah. But yeah, guys, so that's the update of where I've been. I'm going to try to be a little more diligent of doing more behind the scenes for YouTube when it comes to My Pet Monster Girl and for these toys. I'm still trying to figure out, I know it's been a year, 2 years of doing this channel, and I'm still trying to figure out which way I want to go with it. If you guys have any suggestions, or you think maybe I should do a little more of something, whether it be behind the scenes on the body paint and makeup or special effects aspect, or more of these toy videos, like, let me know, because I'm trying to still figure out my channel, because it is kind of it's a mixed behind the scenes of adult content of what happens kind of at the studio, or interviews with the models, and also being in the adult content world is the toy industry. So, and I kind of am, I'm trying to avoid making a separate toy channel, because then that would have me having 3 different YouTube channels, and I just don't think I could keep up with that at all. Let's be realistic. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm preening all the molds. So those are going to get dried out. The bases that I use, I make them out of foam core board just because it's quick. It keeps them leveled, keeps them upright, so that way they're curing. But yeah, so these guys are going to get cleaned. The bottom of them, when it comes to box molds, it's the other thing. The bottom of them get dirty, and I don't like the way it looks, just as presentation wise. And what's going to happen is these guys are going to dry up. The alcohol inside of them is going to dry up, and then after that I'm going to put 2 layers of release, one liquid, then let that dry, and thin coats, and then after that, a spray release. And from there, I start casting my toy designs. There we go. Awesome. Well, guys, thank you for sticking around for this live. And yeah, I'll have some more later today and this week, so stay tuned.